Hey everyone, today we're going to be working with linear systems, the word problems. Remember that systems mean two. So when we're talking about the word problems, we're talking about two things taking place. All right, number one asks that you find a couple of things. So the first thing they say that they need you to name the coordinates of a point that satisfies this equation, but not that equation. The next statement says satisfy this equation, but not that. So here we have our x and y axis, and here is one line, and there's another. So we need to figure out which is which. Well, that's super easy to do because if you'll look, when we would move this to y-intercept, y equals something, it's going to give us something about a 3. When we change this, it would give us something about a 7. So here this is marked at 7 and this is marked at 3. So the first line, which I'm going to do in pink, is going through the y-intercept of 3. So there's that line. Now they want a point that is going to be on this line, but not on the other. So it means that it's satisfying it. So if we were to take and look at this point right here, and this line should be all of those dots. So that's at -1, 2. That dot's location is only on the pink line. So that two numbers for x and y satisfies the equation x minus 3 equals -3, or x minus y. So for the second one, they say we want to satisfy the 7 line, but not the first. So I'm going to draw that line in blue. So we want a dot there that satisfies the line, but does not touch the pink. All right, so let's see. I have a dot at that location. I have many more dots, but that's definitely one we can use. You can use a different dot, that's not a problem. So that is located at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So 4, 3. So that's obvious. 4 plus 3 would give you 7. So it definitely satisfies that. But if you had 4 minus 3, that does not satisfy that equation. All right, in the last question, it asks, name the point, the coordinate that satisfies both. So to satisfy both, you have to do the intersection. So wherever they intersect means that that spot satisfies both equations, because that's the solution to the system. So that's located at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at 2, 5, it satisfies both this equation and that equation. All right, you're going to be working with two types of word problems. You're going to be working with those that have the word same, and then if it doesn't have the same, it will end up having two totals that we're going to work with. All right, so let's start reading this problem. It talks about a company, Fastpick, offers to process film, which is a long ago kind of thing, at 30 cents per print with free developing. The competitor, Qualiprint, will process at 25 cents per print, but has a $2 development charge. So what's the number of prints that they will cost the same? So anytime you see the word same, you need to circle it, because that's going to tell you how to set up your equation. So same means to be equal. So we need to set up the equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an equal sign, because I know I have the first company will equal the second company. So let's look at the equation for the first company. We're going to have every print, which I don't know how many prints I'm going to do, will cost me 30 cents. It has free developing, so that would have been adding a 0, but we really don't need to do that. It's unnecessary. Now let's look at the second company. The second company says 25 cents per print, so the word per tells us that we're going to be multiplying, because since I don't know how many prints I want, it's an unknown, so I can use a variable, plus that $2 of a development fee. So we have plus 2. So now that I have the equation, I see that I have one ship versus the other ship. So that means that you're going to be moving ship to ship. All right, so I'm going to get my variables together. So I'm going to subtract a quarter from both sides. That gives me 5 cents. Make sure you use that 0 equals $2. I'm going to divide both sides by 5 cents. So how many nickels in $2? Well, there are 40. So what this means is if I were to print 40 copies of the picture that I want, both companies would have charged me the same. So that's when they're an equal value. So if I were to do less than 40, you could go ahead and figure out which would be the best option in regards to your competitors, which one would be the cheaper version or the one that would be cheaper in the long run with larger prints. So the answer would be 40. All right, here we have 2 companies, okay, and we want to look and see if they have the word same, and I see it right here, same. So we're going to set it up with the equal signs. The first company's equation will equal the second company. So let's see, it tells us that Lucky charges $59.95 a day plus 49 cents per mile. Now you have a day, so that might be a couple of days, and then you have per mile. So we need to make sure we know what they're asking for. So it says determine the mileage. So we're definitely working with mileage here. So let's talk about the first equation. So every time I drive a mile, it's going to cost me 49 cents. So that's a multiplication. That word per helps you out. It's not a cat purring, it's per mile. And I am charged $59.95 a day. Whoops. So $59.95. It's kind of hard to write up there. So tiny space. So I'm going to move down here. So $59.95 a day plus the 49 cents per mile. And that's going to equal the other company. We want to know when they're the same. So Wombles charges $81, holy cannoli, but only 38 cents per mile. So there's a little bit of a difference. So now that I have 2 equations, I've got a ship to ship. So I'm going to go ahead and solve. I'm going to put my variables together first. So I'm going to take the 38 cents and move it over as a negative. Gives me $59.95 plus 11 cents per mile equals 81. I'm going to take that $59.95 to the other side. It gives you 21.05, 11 miles. I'm going to divide that by 11 cents. And I get, so that M is equal to 191.36, and the 36 is repeating. So they want to know the cost as well. So we're not quite done. So you should keep this, because it's a repeating decimal, you should keep that in your calculator. So they want to find the cost. So at mile 191.36, repeating, they'll be the same. And now we have to go ahead and plug this amount into either side. It doesn't matter because this is going to equal the same. This equation is equal to the other equation. So it doesn't matter which one we're going to plug it into. So I'm going to plug it into the first one, or the second one. So when I plugged in 191.36, timesing it by 0.38, and then I add 81, I've got 153.71 And probably need to go ahead and round it, so it would be 72 because that's a 71.8. So the cost would be $153.72. All right, number 4. Go ahead and make sure that you read it, and you're going to look for that word same. I don't see same, so this is the one that we're talking about, totals. So if you don't see the word same, we want to look for two totals. So let's go ahead and look into the reading and look for two totals. Well, I see $12.30 and $9.70. So we're going to set up our equation, two equations, and since we know the totals, those are always after the equal sign. Oops, it's supposed to be 30. And the other one's $9.70. All right, so let's look ahead of what they say about $12.30. They say 2 pounds of stew meat and 6 pounds of ground pork. So that we're talking about stew, meat, and pork. So we have two things that we're talking about. Two things make a system. Aha! All right, so 2 pounds of stew, so 2 pounds of means to multiply, so I have 2s, and 6 pounds of pork, and means to add, and 6 pounds of pork. So let's look what they said about $9.70. $9.70, they said 3 pounds of stew, but only 2 pounds of ground pork. So that's 3 pounds of stew plus 2 pounds of pork. And oh my, we now have two equations that we've set up. We found the totals, and then we listened to the words of and per. Those are the ones that tell us to multiply. This is pretty much the general way that things are going to be set up for algebra. So now that I have two equations, I know I can solve by either substitution or elimination. And I'm going to use elimination. And I see that I could go ahead and change for my p's only once. So that's going to be a -3. So I end up having 2s plus 6p at the top equals $12.30. And the second equation I went ahead and did, it's -9s and -6p equals -2910. So then you're going to go ahead and eliminate. Give you 7s is equal. So that gave me -1680, and I divided both sides by a -7, so your stew is 2.4. So to find the pork, we would need to plug in your stew into one of those equations, just like we do for elimination, and see what your pork is. And when I do all that work, which I'm not going to do here because you can certainly do that, I find that pork we bought, or stew costs $2.40 per pound, and pork costs $1.25 per pound. All right, go ahead and read through and see if you see the word same. If not, you know that we're going to be working with totals. All right, we're definitely working with totals. So I'm going to look at what I have. Total-wise, I have 4,275 and 675. So we're talking about money and people. So those are my two totals. All right, so money-wise, that's going to give me my equals. Well, one of them, 4,275. My other total is 675. Doesn't matter which order, I just tend to do the little one on the top. All right, so let's talk about what makes up this equation right here. What's making up the 675? Well, in the reading, they tell us that we have adults and children. So we have so many people. So that would be the people are adults and children. So those add up to the total of 675. So we're going to have A plus C. How many adults and how many children will equal 675? Well, now we have to talk money. What's making up the money? Well, $7 per adult, and per means, or an adult, per means to multiply. So that would be 7A. And $5 per child, so that would be $5 for every child. Since they're unknown, they're variables. So now that I have the monies, I can put it in to the equation. So now that I have those two, I have solving by elimination or substitution. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video and do the work. All right, so children were 225 because I got rid of the adults. So that would give me A plus 225 equals 675. I got to plug that back in because I need to know the adults. So your adults were 450. So we have 450 adults and 225 children. All right, I want you to go try number 6 on your own. I want you to look for either same. If same's not there, you're looking for two totals. Set up your two totals at the end of your equal signs and figure out the equations ahead of it. And then you can go ahead and push play to see if you've got them set up correctly. And then I want you to solve. So you need to do two things. Set it up, check, and then solve. So that's actually 3. All right, so the totals we're talking about is 8 actual coins. So that was one total. And then $1.55 was your other total. So the first is talking about the physical money, and there was 8 of them. So that would be dimes plus quarters. And then the money is made up by their values. So you have 10 cents for every dime and 25 cents for every quarter. And now you'll solve by elimination. All right, when you solved by elimination, I got rid of the dimes. So that gave me 15 cents after I got rid of the 10 cents from the quarters, and 75 cents. I divided both sides by 15 cents, which gave me 5 quarters. And then I plugged that back into the other total because I need to know how many dimes. So you had 5 quarters and 3 dimes. So again, you want to find your totals. You put them behind your equal sign. You put the equation that goes with the first total in front of it, the equation that goes with the second one, and pretty much you're going to find lots of multiplying ones. And then you solve by elimination or substitution and make sure that you answer the question so that way you can have the answers correct. All right, final one, go ahead and check out putting number 7 together and see how you do. All right, in the setup, we have two totals, the 10 pounds of mixture of the peanuts and cashews, so that's the physical amount, and then we're costing at $5.32 per pound. Now the problem is a lot of students just went $5.32 thinking that was a total, but it said per pound. Well, how many pounds are we using? 10. So you have to multiply that amount by 10, which gave you $53.20. So if you didn't do that, you missed that extra little step. You can't have something costing $3.60 per pound and $7.90 and it only costing you $5.32 when you're supposed to have 10 full pounds together. So that's why you would multiply it by 10. All right, and then you solved by elimination. All right, I went ahead and got rid of my peanuts. Went ahead and got rid of my peanuts, and so that gave me cashews to solve for. And so I found that I had 4 cashews and 6 peanuts. All right, this has been lesson 38, System of Word Problems, and now you may go and begin working on your homework.